Hey mathematics learners, welcome to Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. In this video tutorial, guys, we're going to be tackling question 3.1. And in question 3.1, guys, we're going to be interpreting this data information that is given to us. And we're also going to be calculating the mean. So this topic or this question falls under data handling, right? Because we're going to be calculating mean. And we're also just going to be interpreting the data that is given to us. We're also going to be tackling question 3.2. Okay, and question 3.2 is also still under the topic of data handling. We are still interpreting this clustered horizontal bar graph that is given to us here, and we're just going to be calculating percentages. Okay, before we get started with today's video tutorial, guys, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Please make sure that you click on that notification bell so that you get notified every single time uploading new video tutorial, guys. And also don't forget to give this video tutorial a huge thumbs up, because that really goes a long way in helping the channel grow and in helping the channel to reach more learners that want to better their mathematics marks. So without any further ado, guys, let's get started with today's video tutorial. So like I mentioned, guys, we're going to be tackling question 3.1 as well as question 3.2 in this video tutorial, and the main concepts that are being assessed here is just our data handling skills. Can we calculate mean? Can we interpret information that is given to us, right? Can we calculate percentage? That is all that is being tested here. So let's have a look at what we are given. Question 3.1 says table 4 below shows the number of people per province working in two workplaces, namely unusual workplace and work from home, for the last quarter of 2022 and the first quarter of 2021. Okay, just additional information, guys. We already know that the year is it can be divided into quarters. Okay, so when we talk about quarters, is us just basically taking your 12 months and dividing that by 4. Okay, so the first quarter would just be, so if you take 12, you divide by 4, you get 3, meaning that the first quarter would be January, February, March. Second quarter would be April, May, June, and so on and so forth. So if they're talking about quarters, that's basically what they mean, that you just take your 12 divided by 4, meaning that the first quarter has 3 months, second quarter has 3 months, the following 3 months, third quarter has the following 3 months, fourth quarter has the next 3 months. Okay, so that's what they are talking about there. Okay, so table 4, people per workplace by province, given the 9 provinces here. We're given the last quarter here, right? And the people that worked at a usual workplace were 147.7. Okay, and these figures are represented in what? Please read in 10,000. Okay, right? And the people that were working from home in the Western Cape in the last quarter was 21.7, 10,000, right? So to be able to actually get the actual figure here, you just need to take that 147.7 and you multiply it by 10,000. Okay, which will actually give you the actual amount. Okay, and we're also given the figures for the first quarter in 2021 in 10,000, right? And then you're also given the row that has all your totals here, right, in 10,000s, right? So for us, we can already see that for us to get this column here, we need to add up all these values, okay, to get the total there. Okay, and that's basically what's given to us. Okay, then we are told for question 3, we are told use table 4 above to answer the questions that follow. It says show how the total value of 83.5 for South Africa was calculated. So they want us to basically show how this value of 83.5 was calculated. Okay, and if we want the total, guys, we already know now. We just have to add up all these values together. Okay, and when you do that, we will be showing how they got to 83.5. So we're going to add to 18.4 plus 5.6 plus 0.5 plus 2.9 and so on and so forth to basically show how they got to 83.5. So let's do that. Okay. And if you punch all these values into your calculator, you'll actually find that they actually do give you your 83.5. Okay. Let's go on to the next question. Give one reason why the values in the table will differ from the actual workplace values. So probably, right, these values on the table will differ from the actual workplace value, probably because rounding off sometimes does throw off or give us different values. So depending on how you basically decided to round off your values, that can give you different answers. Okay, that's one aspect of it. Another aspect or reason that we can give is that these table values that are given to us here, right, are actually given in 10,000. Okay, so that can be one reasons why the values in the table will differ from the actual workplace values. So you can either say rounding issues or you can give the reason that the table values are actually given in 10,000. So either one of those answers will basically be correct. Okay, question 3.3, write down the number of people who worked at the usual workplaces in Gauteng during the first quarter, right? So here, guys, with these questions, like a tip, just always have your highlighters so that you don't make unnecessary mistakes, right? Highlight. What exactly is this question asking you? Where are we focusing our attention on? Okay. So in this case, we are focusing our attention on Gauteng. So we need to have our eyes on the Gauteng row. Okay. Where on the Gauteng row, right? We need to write down the number of people who worked at the usual workplaces. Okay, so we're looking for UWP in Gauteng during the first quarter. Okay, so we're in the first quarter, right? And we're looking at the UWP. So that's there. Okay, so how many people worked at the usual workplaces? It's 365.9. However, guys, you cannot just leave it as 369.9. Okay, that will be marked incorrect. This table gives us values in 10,000s. Okay, so you need to write 365.9, 10,000 in words, or you need to write it like this. Okay, so you either need to write it as 365.9, 10,000, or you need to write it like this. You can just say 365.9 multiplied by 10,000 for us to just get what is the actual value of people that worked at the usual workplaces. Okay, so if you multiply by 10,000, that will actually give you the actual figure. Okay, and if you punch it into your calculator, you'll get that you have 3,659,000 people in Gauteng worked at their usual workplaces. Okay, so you can write it like this or like that. Okay, either one of those answers will be marked correct. Okay, and question 3.1.4, give one example of a job that cannot be done by working from home. Okay, so this question just wants you to think, okay, which jobs, okay, I mean, and it has to be things that are valid. You can't say a teacher, okay, because you can still teach even if you don't see your students physically. You can teach on YouTube, okay, you can have online classes via Zoom, via Teams. So saying a teacher will just automatically give you a zero for that question. Okay, so you need to think of jobs that you cannot do by working from home. Okay, and there are a lot of jobs. You cannot be a bus driver online. Ne? You cannot just be a bus driver from home. You need to be physically there. So you can say a bus driver, you can say a doctor, okay, security guards, right? You security guards need to physically be there. A cashier, cashiers need to be physically be there. So your essential workers, right? Construction, plumbers need to be physically. Electricians need to be physically. Builders, okay. So any of those, right, would be an example of a job that cannot be done by working from home. So I'm just gonna say a doctor or a surgeon. I'm actually gonna say surgeon. Okay, then so you'll just get 2 marks for that. Question 3.1.5. Calculate the mean number of people in the WFH. What does WFH mean? Work from home. Okay. Category for South Africa in the last quarter. So we want to calculate the mean. When we're calculating the mean, we are calculating the average, okay, for people that are in the WHF category for South Africa. So when they say for South Africa, it means we're going to calculate all of these provinces. We're going to calculate what is the average, okay, when we basically include all of these provinces, because they said for South Africa. Okay, so it actually said in the last quarter. Okay, so we're going to be focusing our attention on the WFH in the last quarter, not the first quarter. Okay, so we're going to add up all these values together and we're going to divide that by the total number of values that we have. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 provinces. Okay, so let's write that down. Okay, so to get the mean, okay, you basically sum up. Okay, the sigma basically means you sum up all the WFH and you divide it by the total number of provinces that we have in the country, okay, or total number of values that we'll have, which is going to be 9 values. Okay, so when you sum them up, you'll find that it's going to be 21.7 plus 7.2 plus 0.5 plus 3.2 plus 9.4 plus 2.4 plus 36.6 plus 5.8. Okay, I'm just going to write that there, plus 6.3. Okay, then you're going to divide that by the 9. Okay, so if you punch all these values in our numerator, you will get that the total is actually 93.1 divided by 9, okay, which is equal to 10.34444. A lot of fours for recurring. Okay, that dot just basically means that the 4 goes on and on and on. So you find that your answer is actually 10.344444 recurring, right? But we know that our answer, right, or this values is actually in 10,000s, right? Therefore, our mean is going to be equal to this value multiplied by 10,000, because we are told that the values in the table are in 10,000. Okay, so if you basically do that, you'll find that your mean is actually 103,444.4444. Okay, which is approximately equal to, okay, 103,444.44 or 4. Okay, they didn't really specify how we're supposed to round off here, but the instructions on how you're supposed to basically round off your answers are given in the beginning of your paper, which is very important. Okay, on questions where they don't tell you how you're supposed to round off, you need to have a look at your instructions. Okay, so here they didn't really specify how you're supposed to round off answers. If it hasn't been specified, basically use the rounding off method that they've used here, and they've rounded all their values to 1 decimal place. So that means that you can also just leave your answer to 1 decimal place. Okay, because they haven't specified how you should round off in your answer. So if they don't specify how you're supposed to round off, either look at the instructions that are given, right, on how you're supposed to round off. Maybe they'll say just round off your answers to 2 decimal places unless otherwise stated. Or if they haven't specified in your instructions, then just look at how they've basically rounded off in your data that's been given to you. That'll also guide you on how you're supposed to round off. Okay, so that is another tip that you can basically use to just help you with the rounding off. Okay, so we're done with question 3.1, right? That was a breeze. Let us have a look at question 3.2. Okay, so question 3.2, it says that South Africa's unemployment rate has increased from 34.4% in quarter 2 to 34.9% in quarter 3 of 2021. Okay, the number of unemployed people in quarter 2 was 7.6 million, which is 183,000 less than in quarter 3. Okay, so for us to be able to basically determine the number of unemployed people in quarter 3, right, we need to basically use this information that is given to us, right? We are told that the number of unemployed people in quarter 2 was 7.6 million, right, which is 183,000 less than in quarter 3. So for us to be able to get the unemployed people in quarter 3, what do we need to do? Just take that 7.6 million and plus 183,000, because they said that in quarter 2 that 7.6 million was less than what they had in quarter 3. That basically means that you need to add 183,000. Okay. Yeah. So with maths, that's where they catch you with how they basically word these things. Okay. So you need to basically be careful, okay, in the wording, and just make sure that you understand what these statements and the information that is giving you is telling you. Okay, let's continue. The graph below indicates the unemployment rate for the different genders and the total for South Africa for the first 3 quarters of 2021. So I already explained what quarters means and how we can basically get the different quarters. Okay, so we also given, like I mentioned here, a clustered horizontal bar graphs, or multiple horizontal bar graphs, right, that basically represents unemployment rates for the first 3 quarters of 2021. So you've got the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and on your vertical axis and on your horizontal axis, you basically have the percentage of people that are unemployed, right? We also have a key. The polka dots represents the people, the men and the women in our South Africa that are unemployed. The vertical stripes represents women that are unemployed. The gray shaded regions represent the men that are unemployed. Okay, already from just looking at this multiple bar graph, you can see that actually more women are unemployed, okay, in South Africa compared to men. Okay, so that's just what we can see, okay, from just analyzing this multiple bar graph. Okay, let's have a look at the question. Use the information above to answer the questions that follow. Write down the quarter which showed the highest rate of unemployed men. Okay, so which quarter showed the highest rate of unemployed men? Okay, so I mean, someone was also asking me, I think it was Kaitai, that was asking for tips on how to basically tackle these questions, right? Firstly, guys, you need to use a highlighter. Okay, highlight the key elements, right, that are being asked in your questions, right, so that you don't basically make a mistake or interpret the wrong information. Okay, when you highlight important or the key factors, you are able to then direct your attention to what's needed. Okay, so you want the highest rate of unemployed men. Okay, so we want to determine the quarter that has the highest rate of unemployed men. Okay, so we're going to check here. Where do we have the highest rate of unemployed men? We see that it's there at quarter 3. We have the highest rate of unemployed men. Okay, all right, and that's that. Okay, because quarter 3 has the highest rate of unemployed men. Okay, so we're going to write that down. Next question. Calculate the number of unemployed people in quarter 3. Okay, so we want to calculate how many people were actually unemployed in quarter 3. Okay, guys, here don't make the mistake of thinking you need to read off this value. They didn't say calculate what is the percentage of unemployed people in quarter 3, but then they said what is the number of unemployed people in quarter 3. And where can we get that number? Remember here, when we were basically reading the information that is given to us, right? We were told that in quarter 3, or actually, the number of unemployed people in quarter 2 was 7.6 million, which is 183,000 less than in quarter 3. So the number of unemployed people in quarter 2 was 183,000 less than the number of unemployed people in quartile 3. So for us to get the number of unemployed people in quartile 3, what do we need to do? We just need to take that 7.6 million and we add it and we add 183,000. Okay. So we're gonna take unemployed people in quarter 3 is equal to that 7.6 million plus 183,000. Okay, how do you write 7.6 million? Million, right, basically takes, you have 6 digits after the comma, right? So since we have a 6 here, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So you see here we've got actually how many digits after the comma? 6, ne? Plus that 183,000. Okay. So that is how we write 7.6 million. Okay. And then here we just punch the value into the calculator. If you punch this value into the calculator, you'll find that you get 7.783 thousand. So 7,783,000. Okay, so that's the number of unemployed people in quarter 3. Question 3.2.3. Determine the increase in percentage of unemployed women from quarter 1 to quarter 3. So what is the percentage increase of unemployed women from quarter 1 to quarter 3? Okay, so for us to be able to determine the increase, what was the percentage of unemployed women in quarter 1? What is the percentage of unemployed women in quarter 3, right? So let's get that quickly. So the percentage of unemployed women in quarter 1, right? So the woman is represented by these vertical stripes. So we see that the percentage of unemployed women in quarter 1 is actually equal to 34%. What is the percentage of unemployed women in quarter 3? Right, it's represented by these vertical stripes. It's that there. Okay, but we see that that is actually not on an actual value. So we still need to now approximate. But when we approximate, guys, we need to approximate this in a mathematical way. Okay, don't just be like, okay, it's 36, maybe this is 37, right? Be accurate in how you approximate, right? What do I mean by that? For us to basically be able to determine how we are increasing in each interval here, right? Because we need to determine how we're increasing from there to there to there to there to there, right? So I'm going to show you how we basically determine that. Okay, so the first thing you do, you can just take the 38 and you minus 36. Okay, so if you take 38 minus 36, you'll get that you get 2. Okay, so this whole area here, right, represents 2%. Okay, but now we want to basically find these individual divisions. How much do they represent? Okay, so for us to get that, you basically take that 2 that we've obtained and you divide by how many divisions that we have, right? So you're going to take 2, divide how many divisions do we have here, right? So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5, okay? Meaning that we are increasing by 0.4%. So for us to move from 36% to that point there, it's going to be 36% plus 0.4%, which is 36.4. Okay, to move from 36.4 to that point there, it'll be 36.8 and so on and so forth. So we're increasing by 0.4. Okay, so for us now to determine this value there, we already know that we're going to take what? 36% and you plus it by, right? So 36 plus 1, 2, 3, you can just say 3 times 0.4, okay? Because that now puts us here. Okay, when I say 3 times 0.4, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Puts us there on that mark there, right? However, we still need to account for that small section there. Okay, so I can just approximate that maybe that small section is just 0.2. Okay, so do you see that even though I'm approximating, but I'm approximating in a way that makes sense, a way that makes sense mathematically. Okay, so if you take that 36 and you basically plus, if you take 36, you plus 3 times 0.4, and then you plus 0.2, you will get 37.4%. Okay, so here, okay, we can see that in quarter three, the number of unemployed women in South Africa was actually what? That value there is 37.4%. Okay, but however, we wanted to find out what? The increase in the percentage. So I'm just going to write down what was the unemployment rate in quarter one and in quartile 3, and then we're going to determine the increase in the percentage. Okay, so in quarter 1, okay, the unemployed women was equal to 34%. In quarter 3, the unemployed women, we calculated that they were actually equal to, remember I showed you that we took the 36% plus 3 times 0.4%, and then I plus another 0.2, that smaller region that we had to account for, right, which gave us 37.4%. Okay, so here for this part of the question, they'll take values between 37.3% to 37.5%. Okay, all right, so I'm still within that range, so my answer is correct there. Now, and remember, we want to basically find out how did the percentage increase from quartile 1 to quartile 3, right? What was the increase in the percentage? Okay, so to get the increase, okay, how many more women are unemployed in quartile 3 as compared to quartile 1, right? You can just basically take that 37.4% minus 34%, which will give you 3.4%. Okay, meaning therefore that the increase in percentage of unemployed women from quarter 1 to quarter 3 in 2021 was 3.4%. Okay, then let's have a look at the last question. The unemployment rate for quartile 2 was 34.4%. Determine the number of people employed in South Africa during quartile 2. Okay, so the rate of unemployment, okay, we are given the percentage of the rate of unemployment for quartile 2 as being 34.4%. Okay, and they ask us to determine the number of employed people in South Africa during quartile 2. They tell us what is the percentage. The people that are unemployed, okay, the people that are unemployed, okay, are 34.4% of the population. But we want how many people are employed. What is the percentage of people that are employed? Okay, so since we are working with percentages, right, we know, okay, the total that we're actually going to be working with is 100. Okay, so in this case, if 34 are unemployed, that means for us to get the employed people, you'll just take 100% and you minus the 34.4%. Okay, that is how we're going to get the percentage of people that are employed. And then from there, that answer that we get, we are just going to multiply it by, remember, we were told that the number of unemployed people in quartile 2 was 7.6 million. So we're going to be working with this figure to help us determine the number of people that are. Okay, so let's just do that. Question 3.2.4, right? The unemployed percentage is equal to 34.4%. Okay, the employed is equal to 100% minus 34.4%. Okay, which is going to give you 65.6%. Okay, then we are given that 7.6 million people in quarter 2 are what? Unemployed. Okay, so how can we basically now find, okay, how many people were actually employed? Okay, we can't just take 7.6 million and just multiply it by 65.6, because in this case, this 7.6 million doesn't represent the whole population. It just represents the population of the unemployed people. Okay, so we can't just now think ukuthi that 7.6 just represents every individual. It just represents the unemployed. So in this case, right, we can just take that 7.6 million, which is 7,600,000 multiplied by what you want. Remember now, all these values, okay, we've got them in percentage of unemployed people, percentage of employed people, and we've got the figure of people that are unemployed. So we can, in this case, we can just help this whole concept. We can just use this whole concept of what you want, what you have, to help us determine what we want. Okay, all right. So you can just take that 7.6 million multiplied by what you want. We want the people that are employed. Okay, so you're gonna multiply it by that 65.6% divided by what you have. What does that 7.6 million represent? Okay, that 7.6 million represents the unemployed. Okay, so what do we have? We've got the percentage of the unemployed of 34.4%. So here, this makes our life easy. Okay, because we multiply by what we want, divide by what we have. Also, just so that there's no confusion, let me just also write the units that we're working with here so that you see what's happening. This 7.6 is million people multiplied by what you want, which is the how many people are actually employed, divided by what you have, how many people are unemployed. Okay, you already know that 7.6 million can just be written as 7.6 divided by 1. Okay, we see that the percentage and the percentage cancel, and whatever answer that we will get, it's an answer that represents the number of people that are unemployed. Okay, so if you punch this into your calculator, okay, you will get that the number of people that are actually employed are 144,93023.26. That is the number of people that are employed. So it's 14 million, okay, 493,023, okay, 0.26. That is the number of people that are employed in South Africa in the second quarter. All right, so I think here the challenge would be this last question. Just you seeing that, just you finding that percentage doesn't mean that you just need to multiply that percentage of 65.6 by a million only. If this was the total amount of people, then we could. But in this case, it's not. So we can't just multiply it by 65.6% only. We need to multiply by what you want divided by what you have. That will help you get to the answer that you want. Okay. And you can just actually just give a final answer here, that this is approximately equal to 14,493,023. Okay, because we're dealing with people, humans. So we can't have 0.26. Okay, all right. And that is it for today's video tutorial. Okay. I think just a tip, okay, with these type of questions, guys, make sure that you're highlighting, okay? Make sure that you're making notes as you go, okay? Highlight the key points, the key factors, key aspects, okay, that the question is asking from you so that you don't make mistakes, okay? Here, write down the quarter. They just want the quarter, okay? They don't want the percentage. What is the quarter that has the highest? Question 3.2.2. Calculate the number of unemployed people. What is the number? Not the percentage, okay? So you have to look at the information that is given to us. Question 3.2.3, determine what is the increase. So for us to be able to determine what is the increase, what was the percentage in quarter 1? What is the percentage in quarter 3? And in question 3.2.4, right, for us to determine the number of people employed, right, because we're working with percentage, because we already told the percentage of people that are unemployed, we can simply determine the percentage of people that are employed by subtracting it from 100, and then from there think, what do you want, what you have. Okay, if you think of your answers, also your solutions in that way, you will never ever get it incorrect. Okay,
that is it, guys, and I'll see you guys on my next upload, Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. Bye, guys.